This is the Webster electric changer that's in the was in the Magnavox Embassy that I brought home a few months back. This is an excellent changer, except that it's so damaged. I'm not really sure that I'm going to be able to restore this thing, and I'll explain why. If anyone watched the first part of the Magnavox, when I did the refinishing on the top, there was water damage. Something had leaked down on top of it. The previous owner had it in his basement, and I suspect that's where that water damage happened. And for one thing, here's the suspension spring from this stud here. It's totally shot. It's completely rusted away. Now that I could probably find another one. Same thing with this side. A lot of rust here. The likelihood that I'm going to be able to fix any of this is pretty low. This one's pretty far gone. Here, same thing, a lot of rust. The spring is in okay condition. And then maybe it's not. So these springs are kind of shot. But there's a lot more wrong with this than just underneath here. Here I'm looking topside on this Webster changer. This is a 3-speed. The Embassy was made in 1950, and so as a result, they put a 3-speed changer in it because 45s and long play records were pretty much popular by 1950. It's an interesting mechanism. If you look, you see there's two neutral positions, two off positions in between each speed. For example, here is 78, then we're off, so nothing is attached to the motor capstan. 45, off, and then 33. Now the problem, of course, with any of these very old changers and turntables, these rubber idler wheels harden up. They become as hard as a rock. But this particular changer not only has this big idler wheel that turns the turntable, but there's a rubber wheel here that's as hard as a rock, and another one right here. Now there is one or two companies I think that will restore those, but even the restored ones don't play quite right, especially if you use them at the slow speeds of 45 or 33. 78 you don't hear it so much, but they can't make these as perfect as they are when they were factory made. Finding replacement idlers, pretty grim on that front. So what do I do with this changer? What I'd like to do is find another Webster changer that's for 78s only, because then you're only dealing with one idler wheel. Or possibly a newer one. I may end up having to put a newer changer in the Embassy. I really don't like that idea, but I don't see that I'm going to be able to restore this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these idler wheels apart, and I've got this rubber restore. I've had marginal luck with VCR idler wheels with this stuff, but of course those idler wheels weren't hardened up like these things are. These things are as hard as a rock, so I'll just see what I could do with it. But as it stands right now for this changer that goes into the Embassy, I don't hold out much luck for it at all. I'm going to have to put something else in, I'm pretty sure of that. So besides the main wheel that drives the turntable, all three of these secondary wheels have a rubber tire. There's one there, and there's one there, and there's one, a small one under here. I really don't hold out much luck for the rubber renew to fix any of that. As much as I'd like to keep that Embassy as original as I can, I honestly don't believe I'm going to be able to repair this turntable, and it doesn't pay to try to send those wheels out to have them recovered. They'll never come back right. The turntable will never spin right. I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to see if I can eventually, maybe one will pop up on eBay, a 78 RPM only changer. I'll see if I can find one of those. If not, I might have to go with something a lot newer. I hate to marry a newer changer into that wonderful piece, but at this point I honestly have to say I don't know what my choices will be. So I'm playing around a little bit with this changer that came out of the Magnavox. I'm pretty sure this is a Webster electric changer made by Webster of Chicago. I've been treating these smaller rubber wheels with rubber renew, and I don't know, I'll keep treating them for a while, but I have a feeling those little rubber wheels are hopeless. They're hard as a rock. The big idler wheel, remarkably, I think this could still work, but these I'm sure are not going to. But one of the most important things now, back here, this is the switch that switches between standard and LP. Now standard in 1950 was 78. LP, of course, was new. Long play records were new. 45s and I think 45s was RCA's scheme, and then long play 33 to third records was Columbia. But surprisingly, I have a good cartridge in there. It's a magnetic cartridge, so that's in its favor. But I don't think I'm going to be able to get this thing to run with those rock hard idler wheels. And here's another thing. I've been cleaning this thing off. There's no question in my mind that they must have been smokers. But the cartridge works, and I'm assuming that on standard play, which is 78, that is probably a 3mm stylus on the end of it. There still is a stylus on it. If I shift this over to LP, which has a bent, the stylus support is bent, I'm sure that's probably a 1.5mm maybe. But we've got action there, so the cartridge is good. That's in its favor. I'm sure the motor and everything else in here is still good. But these little idler wheels with the rock hard rubber, and this rubber renew, I just don't think is going to have any effect on those, but I'll keep treating them for a while until I finally give up. If I give up, I'll just put it back together, see if I can get the turntable to turn at all. At least see if I can play a record on this changer. So what are my alternatives? Well, there are other changers that pop up for sale on eBay. I could look through the Magnavox changer, so at least if I marry another changer into the Embassy, that it has the name Magnavox on it. If I don't end up if I can't resurrect this one to working condition, which right now I will say it doesn't look good, this is ever going to really work. And I don't think I can get those kind of idlers rebuilt sufficiently. I know there's a company called Westech that does I know there's a company called Westech that does these big idler wheels, but and some for RCA 45 changers, but I don't think these have much of a chance of being rebuilt. They're fairly unique. Now, you know, just to show what one of my options could be, here's Here is the turntable that I solely use to play modern 78s on. What I mean by modern, these are the 78s that came out in the late 30s and go on through the 50s. It isn't a changer, it's an automatic, but it's not a changer. I have to take the top of this off, but this plays very nice. I could marry this into the Magnavox, and I'm sure it'll work just fine, but you know, it isn't what you would call a good marriage. That's an option. I can see if I can find a 78 RPM only Webster electric changer that I might have better luck with getting the idler working right on it to replace this one. I could do that. So I have to look at my options on this turntable. Until I get a decent turntable workable turntable for the embassy, I think I'm going to go on to a different project for now away from the embassy, unless I find something right away. But I'm still working on these idlers. We'll see how they come out, but I don't have much faith in it. So unfortunately, the rubbery new isn't going to fix these three small idlers. That rubber that's on those idlers has turned to stone. And I don't think this turntable is going to function well as it is. I could probably try to power it up. This large idler, the rubber is supple enough that it may work, but all in all, it is a shame because the cartridge still works if I can get replacement styluses for it. But what I've done is I've sent photos and an email off to VM enthusiast Gary to see if he can advise me if anything can be done with this. More than likely, I probably will need to look for another changer, something that's more rebuildable or works as it is. I would like to at least get another Webster electric changer or a Magnavox branded changer, even though say it's one from the 1960s. At least that the name brand matches. I hate to do that. I don't really want to do that, but I really don't think this one I can successfully rebuild it. I just don't think that's going to be a successful process to rebuild this turntable. So I guess that'll be it for now until I'll go on to working on something else until I resolve what I'm going to do with this turntable issue.